We're back. Another episode at the Sanctuary.
That's not what it's called.
It's
not what it's called.
The SuttonSanctuary. What's been going on? What we got?
You worked all weekend.
Had a little scare Friday, ended up in the ER.
Oh, we're telling everyone, huh?
With some chest pain. It's always scary stuff, ended up being nothing. Which is good.
Allegedly,
that's what they said.
Allegedly.
They said,
Live your life. Sometimes things happen and we just don't know why. Live your life. Chill. Enjoy your weekend.
Quote the doc. And you know
what? I have been living my life. This has been going on off and on for the last few years. And I never did anything. I never went anywhere. I never said anything. I just brushed it off. But Friday, I was down bad. Friday wasn't good.
Let's
Only
talk about
for
it.
them to be assholes.
What was it like? What happened? We get up on...
What happened? Get up on Friday. I slept in. I like to sleep in. Don't come at me for that. I got up at like 9 Friday.
Yeah, probably.
Probably 9 Friday. Come upstairs. Make me a cup of water. Dr. Chase, we're going to go to the gym. I take my vitamins, go back downstairs. I'm getting changed to go to the gym. Get a little bit of chest pain. Nothing crazy. Like I said, been happening for years now. So I'm like, all right, I'll just... Usually a couple deep breaths, I'm good to go. Hurts like hell, I'm good. No, this was like 30 minutes that I was trying to get dressed. I couldn't bend over to put my socks on. I'd put my pants on. And I'd be like, oh my God, is this something? Is it not? I put my shirt on.
Yeah, every time I kept coming back, I was expecting you to be ready to go. And then I kept coming back and you were still struggling with it. And I was eventually there at the end, I said something about needing to go to the doctor. And you said, I really might. And I was like,
Yeah. Because usually the first couple times I was like, no, I'm good. So then I texted one of the doctors that I work with just to see if he was working, just to see if he could listen to me. I didn't think it was cardiac. I thought because it hurt worse every time I took a deep breath. So that's usually telltale sign it's not cardiac. So I'm like, hey, are you working? Are you busy? Thinking he could just call me in some labs or some imaging at the hospital that I work at. He calls me. He's like, nah, you need to go. You need to go to the ER. I said, I don't really want to do that. You think this urgent care could take care of it? He said, no, now you need to go to the ER. So I'm in tears at this point, and I'm going to brag on myself here a little bit. I don't complain that much.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
Do I complain about a headache? Yeah. Do I make jokes about it? Yeah. But I had tears in my eyes.
I'm a master bitcher.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll bitch.
For sure. And then not do anything about it.
Yeah. No, I'll just bitch.
Yeah.
It makes me feel better.
Well, thank God. So I got tears in my eyes. Chase takes me to the ER. It's me and this how old do you think that other guy was that had the mask?
Time out. I gotta interrupt real quick because it's hilarious that we just did this video we just made that'll come out, the suspect challenge, and in yours you said I changed more times than my wife, and
yeah,
you were in the car waiting to go to the ER.
I'm having chest pain in the car.
I had sweatpants on, and then I was like, well, we're going to the hospital. So I'm going to dress, because I was dressed down for the gym.
I'm in sweatpants. I didn't change.
So I had this weird feeling of insecurity. I was I need to put on some jeans so I can look like a mature person in here. I don't know what it was, but look, I put the pants
your wife.
on.
Who are you trying to...
No, nobody. It was just a me thing. And then So I
I'm
get the
fuming in the passenger seat too.
I get the jeans on, and I remember that my only shoes that I wasn't want to wear my brown shoes because that was too much. I just wanted to wear my white Nikes. Well, I left them on the back porch after I spilled grease on them.
Yeah,
And they're
'cause
back
we
there
don't
soaking
clean up
wet.
after ourselves.
They're back there soaking wet, and they're probably just ruined now forever.
They're not ruined. Pipe down.
And so then I was like, well, fuck, I can't wear the jeans. So then I went back downstairs to put on sweatpants again for the second time.
Oh, I guess I didn't even notice that you'd put sweatpants back on.
Yeah, I went in sweatpants.
I was literally like, I could have drove myself there by now.
And I mean, it's not really funny, if it had been something really bad, but it's just, anyway, in hindsight. Especially now that you just made that video, it's hilarious. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
So we get there. It's me and this like 70, 80-year-old man that are checking in together. There's like 5 people registering. This man is so short of breath and sounds like he's knocking on death's door. And I'm not hurting as bad anymore. It's like a 1. It's a little tightness. It's manageable though. I'm good to go. Something's not quite right though. So I'm checking in. He can't even breathe. He's over there with his chest pain and shortness of breath. And then here I am just talking like I am right now. Maybe a little less pep in my step, but it just...
You feeling a little privileged in this moment?
No, I'm feeling insecure because I know if I'm on the flip side, if I'm the intake nurse, I'm like, why is this bitch here? Like, this man is probably having a massive MI over here, and here I am. And I know that everyone thought it was anxiety. My family thinks it's anxiety. I have had anxiety before. It wasn't anxiety. So long story short, they ran a lot of tests.
You weren't anxious.
No.
I know how you get whenever you get anxious to the point you can notice it, you're not sporadic, but you're just a little bit more, you're very within your reason. Yeah. 98% of the time. And then whenever you do get if you get anxious to that point, there's that 2%, or I can kind of notice it. And you weren't anxious.
No, thank you. Yeah.
You just got up.
Exactly. I had nothing to do. I didn't have to go to work. I didn't have to do anything. And even at work, I'm not that anxious. Might be a little bitchy, but I'm not anxious. So
yeah, I wouldn't say anxious is a good word for you. Maybe sometimes annoyed or mad, but anxious doesn't really suit you that often.
Thank you. Well, I know that's what everyone was thinking though, because usually when people...
Go ahead.
What was that?
Nothing.
Okay.
Okay.
Usually when people go in with chest pain, they're like, oh, it's just an anxiety attack. It wasn't fucking anxiety, okay? It wasn't indigestion. It wasn't nothing. So, run test. I'm there for 4 hours, and it said that the imaging and the test results that they took, it was a 45-minute wait time. That's what was on the board that I kept looking at. It took 3 hours just to get those results back. And
it might have been a little longer than that. We got there probably around 10, maybe a little after 10, and it was close to 3.
I think we got there around 11 because I didn't get up till 9. I think we got in the car around 10, and then we got checked in at 10:30, and it took until 11 before they even started an IV or anything. But the nurse comes in there and she's like, "Hey, we got all the results back." This was hour 3. We got all the results back. Has the doctor been in here to go over them with you? No. She's like, "Okay, I'll get a hold of him, try and get him in here." And then at that point, it was another hour before he ever came bebopping in there in such a good mood. Just, "Oh, how are you? Oh, you feeling okay?" And then he's gonna come at me with, "Yeah, some people have chest pain, and we just don't know why. And yeah, it just is what it is. So enjoy your weekend, live your life, and that's it. We'll get you out of here." So.
And he had on his mask, but he only had.
Did he?
Yeah, but he only had it to about here. And it must have been must have been casual Friday because he had the jeans and his sweater on, and
I wasn't a fan, I will say.
I'm not judging him just because he's wearing some jeans, but I want a little professionalism here.
No, he was very much. He was trying to he was trying to be too cool. Even from the start, I didn't.
No,
want to be
he
there.
was that was a That was like a Gen Z
Yeah,
doctor.
yeah. I was say it was given like
If there's a
millennial
Gen Z
vibes.
doctor, it was him.
Yeah, and like I normally wouldn't care, but like I said,
It just wasn't the vibe.
I felt like shit. I didn't want to be there to begin with. Like
we'd already just been sitting there for like 2 hours and hadn't heard from anyone.
yeah,
I was getting frustrated. I was also just ingested 500 milligrams of caffeine right before we left. So I
had not, just to clarify, no caffeine, no pre-workout, no nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Because that's what I thought originally. I was like, well, she hasn't even had caffeine.
Yeah.
But, and hospitals, and they get me nervous anyway.
You do get like a weird complex when you're around one.
If I'm in a hospital, I'm uncomfortable until I get out of there. I don't know why. I think it's just because, like, nothing good comes from hospitals. Like, whenever you think of hospital, like, I mean, yeah, you have stuff like people getting knee replaced or hip replaced. Like, those are good things. That's not, like, crazy or anything bad. But it's the idea of, like, surgery, like, something is wrong.
Right.
Like, I don't know what that is or how I've allowed that to, like, cultivate in my mind, but I just get nervous in hospitals. And doctors creep me out, and I just think they're liars. Like, I mean, not to get into, that's what I said the other day, like, I feel like nurses are really the only ones that have, like, ideas of what's really going on.
But he was getting to the point where he was irritable with the nursing staff, so then I was irritable with him for being irritable with them, and we were just ready to get the hell out of there, and we did, and the next day I drank an energy drink and went and hit legs at the gym and got my heart rate up to 200, no chest pain. Yesterday I did pre-workout, hit the gym, no chest pain. So, long story short, I don't know what's going on.
And we're both vaccinated, so if something happens
He's been
and you
waiting
fall out,
to let everyone know that.
I'm just saying, not to get down the conspiracies, and I'm not trying to get into all that, but I'm just saying there is lots of cases of people right now suffering cardiac issues.
I will say, like, I don't think that it's like a pulmonary embolism or like a blood clot in my lungs or anything like that, but...
And I'm not saying it is either, but that thought does, like, now that I've, like, I can't ignore the fact that I've, like, seen and read this stuff, and I can't act like it hasn't happened, so now in the back of my mind, I'm just like...
Well, I'm like the prime candidate to get one, too. Like, I'm in my 20s, I've been on birth control for how long, and just because I'm not now, like, that's all they wanted to hear was, like, you're not currently on birth control? No, okay, then there's no way it could be a blood clot, but, like... I have been for majority of my life. I got the vaccine, which has been known, like, people with vaccines have been known to have, like, a higher, like, clotting rate, things like that. I'm just saying, you could have ruled it out. I was there. My insurance was paying. You ran some other tests. I just don't see why we couldn't have ruled that one out, too, which is specifically why, like, the doctor that I messaged, he was like, I want to make sure that's not it.
Yeah, I had this post with some numbers on it that they were finding of something to do with... See if I can pull this up real quick.
But Chase is the beneficiary to my life insurance policy, so also check him out if something happens to me.
Me?
Is your name Chase?
No, I wouldn't do anything. I wish I could find this because it was really interesting, and like I said, it wasn't like a...
Maybe you can put the screenshot on the video.
Yeah, I was wanting to find the...
Spit it out.
I just wanted to find these numbers just because I thought they were interesting. Yeah, I won't spend too much time. I can probably... It'll probably end up coming back up. But, yeah, so that's what we ended up doing that on Friday, and ended up saying it was nothing, but yeah, you know, I just can't help now that I see all this stuff. And
But then they
there
still.
was just a girl, a 15-year-old girl from Cordion, Kentucky, like a month ago. 15-year-old girl that collapsed, fell over, died
What was
when
that?
cardiac arrest and was completely healthy before she was vaccinated. And you know, however you feel about them, you can't ignore the fact that there are cases of this shit happening. And I think I was just reading, what is it, like Japan is also Japan is labeling the COVID vaccine as one of the most deadly vaccines in history, something crazy. So I don't know how people, whether you believe in, yeah, Japan officially names COVID mRNA vaccine most deadly drug in history of humankind, calling it the COVID cartel.
It's catchy.
You know, it is catchy, and it, you know, I know I'm distracted. I thought I had maybe screenshotted that post. I guess I did. But well,
So yeah, we wasted our Friday, and you worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday night.
yeah, we're back around Monday. We're we're 5 days post election. Things are finally unwinding, I think, a little bit. Tension, you know, I won't get off in it too much. I just like saw some things I thought was interesting. First off, I don't care who you supported. I don't give a shit who you voted for. If if you are considering this election a loss, if that's how this election went for you, you're considering a loss. And these people are out here sharing all over the place their suicide hotline numbers for these people that are threatening to off themselves because of this election. And you know, there's people out there that are really struggling with mental health issues that, you know, they rely on that number and they call that number because they're really actually thinking about offing themselves, and not these fucking idiots you see online that are sharing their suicide hotline number, and then in the very next post they're out at the local Cold Stone getting them a triple chocolate Oreo caramel, living their best life. And so enough with that shit is just crazy to me. And like I remember 4 years ago, whenever like I again was still rooting for Trump and he lost, and like I can't imagine though, like
People do take, yeah, I don't, yeah, people are, you would think that it was like their mom or dad that just lost, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like people are like so afraid of what's to come that they're like getting themselves so worked up in a frenzy over things that like aren't even necessarily true. Like, there's been so many like misconceptions as to what's to come and things like that that people are getting really worked up about. It's got them down bad.
yeah, I mean, just however you look at it, either way, it just like I said, the people I've seen all kinds of these things, people making posts about threatening to off themselves or posting this number, and then like I said, their very next post, they're out at the local steakhouse with all their friends, and everyone's having cocktails and everyone's living their best life. And it's like, you know, there's people that really rely on that need it, and I just can't imagine either, regardless if you like him or not, to like be rooting against him. And to like, that to me is also a bizarre thought, because even if she would have won, or even back whenever Biden won, like even if I didn't exactly agree with it, I still didn't want, I don't want them to fail, because if they fail, then like the American people fail. And that has been case in point the last 4 years. Whenever you have an administration that has failed at every single turn, the American people fail, and that's who feels the consequences of it. And so for like to
Boy, are we feeling them here.
well, yeah, I mean it's bizarre. Like the argument of like the last 4 years we're actually in a better place now than we were before. It's so crazy. Like I said, talk to anyone that has to go buy groceries. Like talk to any normal out on the street American that is trying to make it and can't hardly afford groceries, and it's just and that's all because again of a failing administration, and now we're the ones that have to suffer because of it, not the elites, not the people in power, not the government officials that are all still getting loaded, and they're probably half of them are all involved in
The
insider
celebrities
trading
that
and
all got involved in it this year.
well, that's a wild thing in itself too. If that doesn't like raise suspicion to the dirty side of what's really going on in politics and Hollywood, and yeah, the amount of people that came out of the woodworks and all of a sudden started, and that's another thing that was so bizarre too. If you really look at it, like the money, well, that's the big scam right now. That's the newest story on Kamala is her campaign had raised $1 billion, and she is $20 million in debt right now, and everyone is like, where did all your fucking money go? Trump just came out yesterday and made a statement, like reaching out to Kamala and them, and was like, "If you guys need money, I'll give you guys money." And it's like and he's legitimately offering to help cover their debt. He's like, "This is what we should do as Americans. Like, we should help each other." And he's like, "So if there's any way, it's like they need help, I'd be more than happy to help." And whether that's there's a lot of people that are saying that's just him being like a troll or whatever. But I mean, either way, he could do the best thing in the world. People will say he's doing it for clout or for whatever.
Be a complete prick to me if he offers me $20 million.
But it's like, where did that money go? You had every big tech, you had big pharma, you had Hollywood, you had people like George Soros, you had like the wealthiest people in the country, with the exception of Elon Musk. And yeah, I mean, obviously, like Trump had people of some high standard as well. But it's like whenever you look at like really, really, like I'm talking not like millionaire rich. These people are multi-billionaire types of people, next level wealthy, and that was all the support that Kamala had the whole time. I mean, she had the biggest names in the country backing her. She had basically everyone in the government backing her. None of them wanted Trump to get in. And with still all of that backing, they tried to kill him twice, and he still runs away in a landslide. Like, not even close. There wasn't actually even, if you really look at it, there wasn't really any blue states. There was blue cities, but like, as far as actual states go, it was red. I mean, it really was a complete red wave all the way across the board. And so, if that alone just doesn't speak for itself, and I know, you get into the numbers of it, I know not every single American votes, so, to say the whole country, it's like, well, how do you really know? Not everyone votes, but a good amount of people voted, and again, we're itching more down the rabbit holes here, but it's still, these are just things that's circulating right now, and I think it's interesting to look at. I don't know, like, they looked at the voting numbers of 2016, and then the voting numbers of 2020, and then the voting numbers of this year. And they are reporting that they saw more people at the polls this year, record numbers at the polls than ever before. And still like 20 million less votes this year than whenever Biden won it in 2020. Now, I think I've said this before, but I think to actually say that you think there's nothing fishy about it, like, where did all of those votes go? It doesn't make any sense. And I think they're still counting votes. I don't know how closer that margin got, but I think to legitimately sit back and look at everything as a whole and to just not think something was a little fishy. But I guess that's neither here nor there now. I know that's still a big topic. I don't really care about it anymore, but I do think it's interesting. I think it's fun to look at. I think it's fun to end up in them rabbit holes. And
Oh my God, you stay in the rabbit holes.
yeah, well, and that's it comes back again. And we'll see what happens whenever he gets inaugurated. But they're saying J.D. Vance has said it, and Epstein said it. Elon Musk has said it. Whenever he's talking with Tucker Carlson in that interview, and the reason you saw all these people backing Kamala the way they were is because everyone is so afraid of Epstein's list. And
I'd love to see who's on it.
Well, they said they're releasing it January 20th.
I know. I'm not holding my breath, though.
January, yeah, it'll be, that's one thing that I am holding. I am really hoping that Trump does come through. There's a couple things that he can do, that he can come through and really just consider it to be a success, honestly. Like, if he could stop the wars, if he could get the wars to end, if he could close off our border and shut down illegal immigration, and then if he could just halfway get the American dollar back into the pockets of American citizens, just a couple of things, and it'd be an ultimate success. And I think that's just my opinion. I don't think he has to do too much to stand out from what we're in right now as a whole. But that's they said in that interview, they talked about people like Bill Gates, and they were like, yeah, he's definitely nervous, and that's what they think. All of Hollywood's completely backed Kamala, and they think maybe that Epstein list is basically the Epstein list and the Diddy list is the same thing.
I'd love to see them side by side.
And yeah, they think there's probably a lot.
Oh, I guarantee there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah, and so whenever you start thinking about those things, and then you see, because the line got drawn the last couple months, it was very clear you were on one side or the other, and you saw who people, and the rumors of names of people that are on these lists, and just so conveniently every single one of them back Kamala this whole entire campaign. And it's like, I don't know, like, you're looking a little suspicious, you look like there's a reason you really don't want him to get in office. And he said that Mike Pompeo was the one that called him in 2016 and asked him not to open the file, or that was not to open the JFK files. I'm sorry. Mike Pompeo asked him not to release the JFK file. He said this time he's releasing those as well. He's opening those up completely. So, he said he's going to do all these things, and I think there's a lot of people hoping that he does. And I think if he doesn't release, I think the JFK files and the Epstein list, there'll be a lot of unhappy people. That's not solely what I'm concerned about.
That's the only reason I voted.
Well, I mean, what, whatever. If that's what it took, then that's what it takes. Hey, there's a lot of people that...
Donnie, spill the tea.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, and, I think it's all intertwined in this group of elites, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, this cabal. I think it's all intertwined. I think they all have this weird pedophilia thing going on. And, I think if it wasn't for things like Elon Musk buying Twitter, if it wasn't for things like podcasts, if you think about this, if you take away all podcasts and you take away, and where all you have is mainstream media, and there are no talk shows, there are no podcasts, that Trump probably doesn't win. If it's just because mainstream media, was completely, besides Fox News, but everyone else is completely left-sided media. And if it wasn't for things like podcasts and things like Joe Rogan and Flagrant with Andrew Schultz, and even, I think the Nelk Boys there, even though he was on the Nelk Boys. But if it wasn't for things like that, this election, I think, is a whole different outturn. And I think as far as public knowledge goes of what's some of these crazy things that are going on behind the scenes, was probably still anonymous if it wasn't for things like podcasting and free speech platforms, which was another big reason that, because as people that are like, starting a podcast and new into this, and then you have people like Hillary Clinton and the Democratic side that want to monitor free speech and are wanting to making comments like if we don't control social media, the government will fall apart. Like, what does that even mean? Like, sounds pretty wild to me. So, any sort of free speech, I can't get behind you trying to limit.
Yeah, this is case in point that I have no censorship over you. Sometimes you start saying something, I'm like, oh God.
Well,
get a little nervous.
Like I said at the very beginning, whenever I started this, I wasn't gonna. I wanted to be, that was the whole point, being open and honest. And if I have an opinion about something, and if someone doesn't like it, well, I don't care.
I'm talking on and off the camera. Sometimes off the camera, you'll start saying something, I'm like...
Well, for a long time, yeah, I used to not be into the conspiracies until the more and more we're learning and the more and more time goes on, these conspiracies, a lot of times are turning out to not be conspiracies, and they're turning out to be true. And it's like getting to the point where it's like, how can we trust anything you say when everything you say is being called out as bullshit and lies and not true? And I can't wrap my mind around that. But we'll see. He he's not even in office yet, and Hamas has already made a public announcement saying they want peace with America. Putin has reached out and said he's ready to talk negotiations with the United States, and he's to figure out what they have to do to end the war in Ukraine. I think, I think more than anything, first, I don't know all the logistics of it completely, but I think ending the war with Russia and Ukraine should be top priority. I think we need to, mainly because we've been so involved in funding that war and using our weapons in that war and our bombs, and we're sending troops over there, and which, again, I don't know, I said before, but I completely disagree with us being involved in any sort of foreign wars that do not do anything to benefit the United States. And so I think that's a lot. I think that's a big one that people want to see get shut down. And, because I think the mainstream media has been lying too about, I don't think it's going as well for Ukraine as people want to believe it is. And I don't know. I don't. I think that's a big one. I think a lot of people want to see the wars end, except for the Democratic Party and people like Liz Cheney and Hillary Clinton and all these war hawks that are profiting off of it. But that's so many rabbit holes, so much to get lost in. You think I'm losing it?
Can you stay lost in them?
Yeah, I didn't want to get too in depth in it, but where do we start? Oh, it's winding down. Well, we think it's winding down. It might just be starting. We don't know yet.
What else have we done? We watched Outer Banks. Caught up to date on that.
Yeah, I got up to date on the... Yeah, that's a...
Don't do any spoiler alerts.
Yeah, we'll give it a little bit of time.
Yeah.
We, people local in the area, if you're listening to this, you don't know, I was just informed about Stud Athlete right here in Evansville, Indiana. This young kid, sophomore at Wrights, he's a 5-star recruit. He's number 4 in the country in the class of 2027 goes by the name Jalen Mitchell. 6'7", played on Bradley Bill's elite camp or elite AAU team. I think it's BBE or whatever that team is. I'd say Mitchell probably been playing AAU ball with him over in Evansville, if I had to guess. But this kid's supposed to be legit. He has been offered by Illinois. Again, only a sophomore. They've got highlight videos. If you check him out on YouTube, they go back to like him in the 8th grade. He's been a 5-star recruit since like 7th, 8th grade. And my buddy Rick just texted me, and I hadn't heard anything about him, and was telling me about it. Him being a sophomore, he'll officially be able to start getting like fully recruited probably next year. So if you like to get out and go check out sporting events, or you know people like to get out and go check out basketball games, or like basketball and want to check out, again, some good games, get over and check out Wrights. He may not be around after this year. You know, he may end up some prep school or somewhere else. It's typically what a lot of those kids end up doing. They end up going to play for some big prep school. But yeah, that's exciting. Let's check it out. Now they got a game coming up on the 21st against Mater Dei. We're gonna go watch. If you're able to get off work and go watch, you think you're gonna be able to get off?
I might see if I can trade someone instead of, I don't know, instead of leaving early. Is that 21st is
Thursday.
That's the week before
Week
Thanksgiving.
before Thanksgiving, yeah.
So yeah, we'll probably be busy. Hopefully, be busy at work. I might see if I can just trade someone. Got the girls at Super Sectionals.
Yeah, Carmine girls are at Super Sectional tonight. I'd say North City hasn't lost yet, have they?
No, they made it to Super Sectionals as well, I think.
So we got some Southern Illinois teams.
Yeah.
Two volleyball teams that typically make a lot of noise come postseason. No.
Yeah, Super Sectionals tonight.
You know, North City doesn't really have a lot going for them most of the time. Gotta love it, you know, born and fucking raised. And
not a lot going on right now.
Just not a lot going on, you know, a lot of the time, and that's okay. I'm not dogging them, I'm just saying they ain't got a lot going on. But one thing you can typically count on is they've got a pretty solid volleyball team year in and year out, and that's due to, I think, a lot of different factors. They've had a lot of really good talent, actually, as far as volleyball goes through the years, and then
did you see Chad Everett's post? Like, there's been, one of his daughters have started for the volleyball team for the last 12 years. Mm-hmm. There's been an Everett, and that's crazy.
Well, that started my sophomore year. His oldest daughter, Hope, would have been a freshman my sophomore year, so 2013 to now.
Yeah, they're tall and athletic as hell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they've really been the driving force, I know, the last decade, literally, of that volleyball team. And not only that, they've had really good talent. Jacqueline Melton's probably one of the top volleyball coaches in the southern part of the state, maybe in the state. I don't know how many wins she's got under her belt by now, but I'd say it's a lot.
I think that's really what shifted Carmi's volleyball team as well. Like, I think there's always been talent there, but I think Chris Lucas is a really good coach. I feel like some people love him, hate him, whatever, but he's getting the job done. Yeah.
He seems to care.
And I'm getting word that people are like, all he does is chew their ass. Okay?
Well,
sometimes you need that.
Yeah, but again, I think it's because he cares.
Yeah.
And
I've known spoke up and told him he needed to quit talking to him like that. Like.
Well, I've known Chris Lucas a long time. I've known his son's my age. I played ball against Drew since I've known Drew since 5th grade, my whole life. There's one thing I know about them: they love sports, and they've always loved sports. And I know Chris has always loved sports and always been real passionate about sports. So I think that's what lacks in a lot of these small areas. Whenever you look at coaching, And, it sucks just the way it is in these small town areas. It's hard to find people because, for one, you're not getting paid anything to do it.
Right. You can't tell me that you're putting that much hours and that much time just to spend time with kids that, like, you know what I mean? Like, why would you give up your time and everything if you don't, like, truly care about the girls, one, or about the kids, and two, about, like, just winning in general and the sport in general?
Yeah, a lot of these schools, they get these guys that come in and, they're just going to be a teacher there for the next 25 years, and hey, we need to fill a spot. You
A little
played you
extra
played you
income.
played a year or two of ball at one time, didn't
Yeah.
you? And then and hats off to those guys that do step in and do it.
I've even seen it with people that have never played the sport before, though. Like,
Yeah.
and that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, again, hats off to people that step in and do that. Because, they don't have to, and if they didn't do it, a lot of times. But it just sucks that that's how it is. You can't. To find a coach like that actually cares, and especially in that area whenever, girl sports aren't the most popular thing. And, I mean, even guy sports aren't the most popular thing.
But the last 4 years, I feel like the girls' sports
It's
have had just as
definitely.
much coverage as the guy sports, and like,
Well, that all turned around with Cole Carter
yeah,
and the
yeah,
coverage that he's brought to the women's sports. Because before that, you were never seeing it.
no. But I'm
And
saying, like, we couldn't even get a home crowd for a basketball game. One, we sucked, but like softball, we were really good at things like that, and like there was never. It was your parents up in the crowd, like. The student section wasn't there. No one cared. So I think it's really cool to see they almost always have like a full student section. Everyone really gets into like a theme and everything. When I was in school, like that wasn't a thing either.
yeah,
So
they didn't do the themes at North City, but we always had a packed student section, and we always had a packed gym. That's one thing I'll say. Like our 4 years of basketball, and we were always like for just a small school, we were always like pretty average. Like we were never absolute shit. We were never just like really good. Like we competed. If we played some bigger, if we would have went over and like, and whenever I was in high school, like if we'd have got into bigger schools like Harrisburg and shit like that, like yeah, I wouldn't have won as well. But like just for the small school that we were, again, we had 40 kids in my senior class, like so that if that just put 200 kids in the whole school, like we competed, and I think it showed, and I think a lot of people that came and watched our games back then knew that we competed, and like we were pretty fun to watch. I mean, I was all right, No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But
are you though?
there was always a lot of people though. We did always seem to attract a full gym of people.
The boys always have two, though. You know what I mean? Like Carmi boys always have two, even when they sucked. Like
One of the more packed games I played in was my senior year. Carmi came to North City,
yeah.
and
That's always a good turnout because we did not vibe with North City when I was in school either. I think now they get along like pretty well, or like even your sister's class.
Whenever I was in high school, like I couldn't go to Carmi.
I almost didn't hang out with you because you were from North City.
Yeah.
And that's.
Yeah, I guarantee you. Yeah, I wasn't like allowed in Carmi in high school.
I didn't. Yeah, that's all news to me. I don't know who was prohibiting you from coming to Carmi, but
I mean, nobody. I would have walked in anywhere in that motherfucker. But
okay.
no, it is that. But it was like that. There was beef. Like we didn't get along. We didn't like each other. You were talking shit. Like speaking of, since we just brought him up, me and Drew Lucas, man, we used to just called him out his name. Sorry, Drew, but we used to go at it. Man, we did not get along in high school, me and him. We get along really well now. Like every time I see him now, we're super cool, super good guy. I really like Drew, but back then, we did not. We were talking that shit. We were, any chance we had to get at each other, we were. It was fun though. That's why I always loved playing in those games, because there weren't a lot of people that were bringing it like that, and so that just goes back to kind of that competitive side, of the Lucases and their passion, and he always brought it, and it was always fun to play in those games. And I know our senior year Carmi actually loaded up a whole student section van or bus, and they bussed them down to North City that night for the game, and it was packed. Like people were standing.
Yeah, they started doing all the cool stuff after I graduated.
And that was probably the coolest as far as like the student section, the atmosphere. That one was pretty wild. Anytime we played Crab Orchard, it was always wild.
That's what, like, I'm really thankful for, like, the WRUL and things like that for them broadcasting it. But still, like, going, like, back home and, like, going into the gym with that atmosphere, it's, like, it's unmatched.
Yeah.
Get you some stale popcorn and...
Yeah, I was like reading this article talking about like kids with depression after high school and like the like kind of like that reality check of like, especially if you're like an athlete and you play in those environments and you have that kind of atmosphere and
Not
like,
peaking in high school.
well, no, that I mean, yeah, I mean, well, some people, yeah, some people definitely do, and but like the people that have that issue whenever they get out into the real world and they're like not the center of attention anymore and like shit is not, no one gives a fuck who you are, like, and that is just like a huge, and that was like, I don't know, I couldn't wait to,
So how'd you do with that?
well, I was like the opposite. I couldn't wait to get out of the. I couldn't wait to get to a place where I knew nobody. You know, I was so excited to get away where I didn't know a soul. Like that was exciting to me. That's like what I wanted. I didn't want to stay around and.
Me not knowing your name really was green light, huh? Me not knowing who the hell you were.
You didn't know my. No, I mean no one ever calls me that. Like, it was like 2 days.
It was more than 2 days. It was like 2 weeks. He would say yeah at my house consistently.
Well, I didn't get brought up.
I don't think anyone knows that story either.
What?
What we're talking about right now.
Oh.
About me not knowing your real name.
Well, my first name's Gabriel, and not a lot of people know that. And like, it just doesn't get brought up. Like, and it just didn't get brought up like the first couple of weeks that we were talking and together.
Man had pretty much moved into my house.
And we were at my parents' house, and I think mom or dad called, because my parents will call me Gabriel.
Your mom said something, and she said Gabriel, and I looked at his dad, Gabe, and then all of a sudden Chase starts chirping from behind me. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah. Yeah, yes, my first name's Gabriel, and my parents, my dad calls me that probably more than anyone. My dad calls me Gabriel, I feel like, quite a bit.
Or hen.
Yeah, or hun. Yeah. But my mom calls me normally, like if mom's like trying to get my attention, she'll yell Gabriel, but dad calls me Gabriel more than he calls me Chase for sure. But he's like the only one. And so yeah, it doesn't get brought up. And I remember like even back in school, we'd have like a substitute teacher, and someone would like be talking. She'd be reading off the names, like getting a attendance, and they say Gabriel. Well, they'd always say Gabrielle first every time, and it's just like ugh, like shot to the gut, like ugh. Yes, that is me. Gabrielle is here. I'm here. And I wouldn't even notice, and then finally someone would be like, there is no Gabriella, what the fuck? And then someone that like knew my first name would be like, Gabriel, like, and then they would look and they'd see Chase Sutton, and they were like, then they would switch and they'd be like Gabriel, and I still wouldn't be paying attention. I had no idea that they were talking to me.
Even at like the doctor's office and stuff, you're still not really.
Yeah, and someone hit me and be like, hey, I think she's talking to you. Ew.
Excuse you, Zara. So oopsie. So yeah. But no, I didn't mean your name in general. I just meant I didn't know who the hell you were. I could give a shit less about your high school legacy whenever I first started talking to you.
Oh man, good times. Yeah, I think I get what it means by that article talking about not really like the depression of like not being in the spotlight. I think I can relate to the kind of, which I mean, I played a little bit of college baseball, so I didn't lose it immediately. But after that, I think losing the
It's like your identity,
the
though. Like,
getting to compete, like that
yeah,
feeling of getting to like compete against someone. Because now after that, there's nothing you can go like compete in certain things now, but it's just not the same as like having a packed gym full of people. And so I guess I can relate to like I missed that. I miss like I was sad to lose that. Like I liked
yeah. Well, I
to.
feel like if your thing in high school is that you're really smart and you're on like a scholar club or something like that, like you don't just like lose your ability to like be intellectual or like be scholarly with someone. Like there's
To
places you can
gain
go for that.
knowledge, or, yeah.
Yeah, but like if you're like an athlete in high school, like you, like I got an extra year of that, but then after I quit playing sports, I'm like, what the hell are my hobbies? Like, it's
Well,
not
that's a
like you can
driving
just,
force. That was the only way you could get me in school
right.
was because
Or
of
just like that,
sports.
like
Like that's the only reason I
schedule
showed
too.
up.
Like, I feel like I didn't realize I had like ADHD or anything like that until I quit playing sports and I didn't have like a like schedule, like a set schedule and things like that. Like, I was just free balling.
Well, you develop that discipline,
Yeah.
from a very young age, and that's they talk about the benefits of playing sports growing up and learning to work in that team environment and being around people and working towards one ultimate goal as a team and all these things, discipline and being on time and mental toughness and all these things that come with being an athlete and competing. And again, that was my motivation for everything that I did. That was the only reason I kept my grades above where they needed to be, and even sometimes sports didn't even get me to do that. But if it hadn't been for sports, getting me to go to school and getting me to really care at all in class, like that was my motivation for a long time. And then once that's gone and you're used to having this discipline and this schedule and this routine, and then once all that's gone, and now you're like you kind of have this like disciplined mindset in this crazy fucking world of just there is no fucking schedule in the real world. There is no
Right.
plan. There
You've got to
is
be
no
accountable for yourself. There's
everyone's
no one.
winging this shit every single day just like the next person. And there is like you do develop a daily schedule eventually and you get into a routine, but it does take a while, especially whenever you're used to having that as a driving force and you're like, well, fuck, what do I do it for now? Like,
That is why, like, part of me wishes that I would have learned how to, like play golf or which I know is like not technically too late for that or like tennis or something that you don't need at least six
all
people to
right.
play. You know what I mean? Like you can't just like get a pickup volleyball game going or even like pick up basketball is difficult.
Well, it's like still fun. You can still compete and like do the basketball and something about the atmosphere though, the people, the I don't know, it's the whole thing, and then especially it's like just the people that you got to do it with and the people that you've done it with since you were you've probably been playing ball with these kids since you were in recess of kindergarten, since you guys could walk. And yeah, it's a whole thing that kind of comes with it. And it kind of does take a piece of you, I think, after, and people can struggle with. And that's why I think like it's I'm glad I found the gym and work out, because I don't think you can just shut that off. I don't think that once you develop, I think that is like more, it's a lifestyle type of way of thinking. It's not just like a being, you can still be in shape and push yourself and do all these things. It doesn't have to be. And I guess that's where you kind of have to hope that your discipline comes back into play and takes over. And
Yeah. I
because
feel
you
like
don't have
yeah.
that motivation every day, you now have to, I mean, especially now, like for myself, that I've been off TRT for a month, like the motivation to work out is not there, but I'm still like wanting to. I know like my mind has been callous now. It's like if I go like 2 days without working out, I can literally just start to feel my anxiety raise. Like after 2 days of not physically exerting myself.
And nobody wants that.
Yeah, I mean it's that fast for me. If I don't exert the shit inside me that's bubbling, if I don't like exert, and for me, I have found that I can exert it physically. If I can destroy myself physically in the gym, it releases a lot of that shit mentally. And, people finding your outlet and finding your way. I think that's where people get lost, because if you spend all these years using a sport as an outlet and then that's taken from you and you don't have that anymore and you now have to find that outlet again. And if you're not careful, that's where you wind up indulging in drugs and alcohol, or gambling, or sex, or you indulge in whatever it is that you have to make yourself feel some sort of motivation or self-worth. And it's there's like that gray area there where you have to trust you've been raised with the right morals and you have the right friends at that point in your life to help you. And I think I said I think that the last podcast by myself, where I think everything in this life, it all comes together. It just all makes sense in a way once you start to step back. And so I think it only makes sense. You have to, and I think physical exertion, whatever it is, I think everyone has to have some sort of physical exertion in their life. If not, you're not mentally performing as well as you could be if you were at least exercising in some form regularly. That's just my opinion, but I don't think you can be completely mentally. I mean, yeah, you can be happy mentally, but whenever you're physically and mentally in tune, that's a whole different feeling than if you're mentally fucked up, but you might be in good shape.
I just think, yeah, even if you're like physically, even if you're like happy, but you're physically like unhealthy, I feel like that still weighs on you. Like, I feel like even
you can sort through a little more of the mental shit.
right, like
if you're physically fit, the other shit is easier.
yeah, like which right, like even if you're physically fit, you can still be mentally unfit. I feel like that's yeah. But I feel like even now, like
I find the difference is though being physically fit is not like being mentally fit. Physically fit, there is nobody that can't do it. Mentally fit, there are people that struggle really hard mentally that you can't just change it like that. But being physically fit, you can change like that. You can get on a diet. You can add one walk-in a day, eat 50 extra grams of protein a day, try to start, there's small things you could do and you can make that change right now and you don't have to live like that. Like some people don't have a choice to live with the mental shit they have to live with, which is why we have things like medication and there's certain things you have to do. But being physically fit is just a matter of, do you want it or not? Like, in my mind, like being physically fit is just a matter of like, do you want to be a piece of shit or do you not? There's nothing else outside of that. Like,
I have been currently recently.
There's nothing that stops you from going to the gym. There's nothing that stops you from eating a piece of chicken instead of a piece of pizza. There's nothing that stops you from literally just putting on a pair of tennis shoes, walking 2 blocks down the road and walking back. Like, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. It's just a matter of you're fucking lazy and you don't want to. And
I'm just saying, when I was at like the healthiest that I have been and like looked the best in my opinion was when we were like going through a lot of shit. So mentally, not great. Physically, not bad.
Well, yeah.
And now, let myself gain some weight. And even when I'm like having a good day, I'll like go to the bathroom and like catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror and I'm like, fuck. Just like
well, that's what I mean.
immediately
It's
not
like
having a good day,
at the very least, because the mental battle is something I feel like that doesn't just go away. That's something you have to work at every single day. At least from my experience, I have to actually like check in with myself every day and make the concerted effort to mentally be okay. Like I don't just wake up and good like most people. Like I have to make an effort to be good every day, and it's like, again, physically, yeah, if you have to make the effort to go to the gym and do all these things, but it's just, in my mind, it's much easier to change. It's much easier to have control over, and it's much more controllable. And there really is no excuse other than the fact that you're just lazy, and you don't want it.
I do think it's like a mental block sometimes though, because even when I know like, all right, I'm getting fat, I'm gaining weight, I still like, until like the last week, I still couldn't like make myself quit eating shit or like make myself actually even like get 10,000 steps in a day. Like I feel like that should be the bare minimum, and I was striking out almost every day.
I think people should shoot for 5. I know right now the average is 3,000. Right now, the average is 3,000 steps a day for the average American, and I think even if you added 2,000 extra steps, and just double it
Yeah.
for a lot of people. And that's what I mean. I'm not saying that you have to like go to the gym and work out for 2 hours every day. Like, go out back and play around with the dog. Go walk down the road. Whenever you go to Walmart, park a couple rows back. Walk a little farther into the store. Like,
I would say having the dogs keeps me more accountable too, because if we've both been gone all day or like both been working, then I feel like obligated to like take them on walks and things like that because I feel guilty if not. But
yeah.
especially with a sweet little baby girl.
I think that's gonna go ahead and about wrap us up for this one.
Yeah, what else you got?
Nothing at the moment. That's nothing new at the moment. Holiday season's coming up. Basketball starting. About to be the best part of the year, in my opinion. We will have this video up on Thursday. We will be again releasing next Thursday. We thank you as always for the continued support. It means a lot. All the kind words, encouragement, messages, everything is much appreciated. The words do stick with us. We really do appreciate it. Continue to tune in. Continue to like, subscribe. Hope to see you guys back next week.